Imagine waking up to find your daughter never came home. Her car is still in the driveway. Her purse and keys are sitting neatly inside the house. The lights are on, the TV is flickering in the living room, but the air is heavy and silent. No note, no sign of a struggle, just gone. Now imagine it's not just one young woman who vanished in the night, but three. Two bright teenagers fresh from graduation and a loving mother who had just bought her dream home. Three women who seemed safe in the middle of suburban Springfield, Missouri, a place where neighbors trusted each other and families felt protected until that summer night shattered the illusion of safety forever. This is the story of the Springfield Three, a case with no suspects, no bodies, and no clear answers. Only a trail of eerie details, unanswered questions, and a community left with whispers that still echo more than 30 years later. A night of celebration, June 6, 1992, was supposed to be filled with nothing but joy and excitement. Stacy McCall and Susie Streeter had just graduated from Kickapoo High School, a moment they had been working toward for years. Like so many teenagers, they spent the evening hopping from one graduation party to another, laughing, posing for pictures, and talking about the future that seemed so bright and limitless. By 2 a.m., exhaustion set in, and instead of pushing on to Branson, where friends were gathering the next day, the girls made the safe, practical choice to stay at Susie's house. It felt like the responsible thing to do. Waiting at home was Susie's mother, Cheryl Levitt, who had just finished renovating the cozy single-story home at 1717 East Delmar Street. For Cheryl, it represented a new beginning, a place she could truly call her own and share with her daughter. But that night, the unassuming little house, nestled in a quiet Springfield neighborhood, would become something far darker. No one could have predicted that the celebrations of two young women and the simple comfort of a mother's home would give way to one of the most chilling and enduring mysteries in American true crime history. The morning after, when friends arrived the next morning to pick up Susie and Stacy, they expected the usual chaos of teenagers getting ready for a trip. Laughter, last-minute packing, maybe even a little rush out the door. Instead, what they found felt eerie. Both of the girls' cars sat quietly in the driveway, untouched. Inside, their purses, clothes, and makeup were neatly in place, as if they had only stepped out for a moment. The TV hummed in the background, stuck on static, filling the silence with a low, unsettling buzz. Cheryl's bed looked as though she had been in it just hours earlier, but the women themselves were gone. No struggle, no forced entry, just an unlocked door, a dark stillness, and a house frozen mid-moment, as though life inside had simply paused. Even more unsettling, Stacy's mother later revealed that she had tried calling the house early that morning. Instead of her daughter's familiar voice, a strange man answered the phone. His tone was described as disturbing, almost mocking, before the line abruptly cut out. To this day, no one knows who that man was, or why he was in the house where three women had already disappeared. The vanishing for investigators. The case was confounding from the very beginning. How could three women vanish in the dead of night from a quiet suburban home without leaving behind a single meaningful clue? It was as if they had been plucked out of existence. Theories swirled quickly. Some believed the women had been abducted by someone they knew, someone they trusted enough to open the door for in the middle of the night. Others wondered if one of the women had been the intended target, with the other two pulled into a nightmare by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then there was the most chilling possibility that it had been a random act of violence, carried out by a predator who struck by sheer chance. What puzzled police most wasn't just the disappearance itself, it was the absence of evidence. If the women had been kidnapped, why had nothing been stolen? Why were their cars still there, their belongings untouched, their lives frozen in mid-motion? Why wasn't there even the faintest trace of a break-in or a struggle? For investigators, it was like chasing shadows. Possible suspects. One of the earliest names to come up was Dustin Rechtenwald, Susie's ex-boyfriend. Their relationship had been troubled, and Susie's family described him as controlling and sometimes abusive. Investigators looked at him closely, but nothing concrete ever tied him to the disappearance. Another name was Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper and suspected murderer. Cox was living in Springfield at the time, and years later he would even claim to know that the Springfield Three were dead and buried somewhere near the city. Yet he never offered proof, and investigators could never connect him directly to the crime. Over the years, other theories surfaced. Some pointed to serial offenders passing through town, others to possible connections in the women's social circles. But every promising lead seemed to collapse into dead ends, leaving only speculation. The human cost behind the mystery are three very real lives. Cheryl Levitt, 47 years old, a hard-working, devoted mother who had just begun settling into her dream home and building a new chapter for herself and Susie. Susie Streeter, only 19, independent, artistic, and strong-willed, with plans of becoming a hairdresser and building her own future. Stacy McCall, just 18, bright, kind, and deeply loved by her close-knit family. Her mother, Janice, became one of the most tireless voices demanding answers. The loss didn't stop with their families. Springfield, Missouri, was shaken to its core. Parents began locking their doors tighter, and teenagers weren't allowed out late like before. An entire town learned overnight how fragile the idea of safety could be. Leads and dead ends. Over the decades, tips have poured in, thousands of them. A psychic claimed the women were buried under a hospital parking garage. Another tip suggested they were hidden in abandoned mine shafts that stretch beneath Missouri. Investigators dug, searched, interviewed, and re-examined evidence. Yet nothing definitive was ever found. Even today, new tips still surface, and every few years the case gets renewed attention in documentaries, podcasts, and media specials. But despite endless theories, the truth continues to elude everyone. Why this case haunts us. So why does the Springfield Three case still resonate so deeply after all these years? Maybe it's because three women vanished without warning from the one place we're supposed to feel safe, home. Maybe it's because their lives were interrupted at moments of hope, graduation, new beginnings, second chances. Or maybe it's because the silence, the lack of answers, the absence of evidence, is more terrifying than anything else. More than 30 years have passed since that summer night in Springfield. Families have aged, friends have grown older, but Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy remain frozen in time, their fates unknown. The case of the Springfield Three is a chilling reminder of how fragile life can be, and how quickly normalcy can shatter. It's also a reminder of resilience, the families who refuse to give up, the community that continues to search, and the hope that one day the truth will finally come out. Until then, the house on East Delmar Street will forever hold the shadows of three lives cut short and a question that refuses to fade. What happened to the Springfield Three?